So I'm going to show you stocking stitch, and stocking stitch is the basic fabric of all knitting. And you'll even find that most of your store-bought jumpers and even your t-shirts are in stocking stitch. So it's not a reversible fabric. It has a right side and a wrong side. And the right side is this side here, and you can see there's little V's all in columns. And this is the knit side. On the wrong side is the purl side, and it's full of these lumps that go down. So when we're knitting stocking stitch, we knit one row and then we purl back. And you'll notice in my knitting, this is a little sample of stocking stitch, that it's curling up here. And that's because the knit stitch is actually tighter than the purl stitch, so it has a tendency to curl up. So put my needle in, tension my yarn, and now I'm going to knit one row. I'll show you a few stitches slowly. And then I'll show you. Okay, so we've knitted a row. Now we turn it around on the wrong side and we're going to purl a row. But we want to make sure that the edges of the fabric aren't going to be loose and sloppy. So some people, they just slip that stitch and then continue to purl. I don't. I knit it. And then I knit the first stitch, then I purl all the way down and knit the last stitch, and that keeps this very firm. So I'm going to knit, so put it in this way. Now what's really important here is that when you're doing a knit stitch, your yarn is always in the behind of the work, and when you're doing a purl stitch, it's always in front of the work. So you want to make sure that you don't go straight into purling and then bring your yarn over the top of the needle like this, because you'll get an awful mess. Okay, so you knit one stitch, you bring the yarn around to the front of the work, and then you're right to purl the whole row. Whoopsie, I've done a little mistake there. So I've brought my yarn around to the front, and then off I go, and I'm going to purl. I'll show you a few stitches slowly, but you can also have a look at my how to purl video, and I show you very slowly how to knit, how to purl, English and continental. So now I'm going to purl fast to the end of the row, to the last stitch. And you can see my wool is to the front of the fabric, and now I have to put it to the back of the fabric, and I knit the last stitch like this. So the next thing I want to show you is how to count your rows on stocking stitch. So you can see the V coming down underneath this stitch here. That's one row, and then there's another row, a V underneath it, and another V, and another V, and another V. Each of these V's is one row. So that's one row, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. So you've got these columns of V's right underneath the stitch, and that's on the right side of the fabric. And on the wrong side of the fabric, you've got columns of little lumps. Okay, so if I take this this one here, and I stretch the fabric out. You can always stretch the fabric out with your fingers to see what you're doing with your knitting. It's very elastic. So that's the first row underneath there, underneath this stitch. And then the second row is the second bump. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc. So that's stocking stitch.